What's up YouTube, Kristo here, and I've got a review for you. Going to be looking at a fragrance from the house of Phaedon. This is Grisens, or as it's also known now, Oliban. Phaedon is a fairly new indie niche house. It's definitely bigger than a lot of indie niche houses. They are sold on Lucky Scent, so it's fairly big, but definitely still nothing compared to Creed or Amouage in terms of acknowledgement. This is from the original release when they came out in 2011, so this is one of the original fragrances released. And Phaedons are split into two categories, the EDT and the EDP. Not that they do one of each, but they have like certain fragrances that are only EDT, certain fragrances that are only EDP. EDT right here. And also quite recently, probably in the last maybe 2 years or so, Phaedon completely repackaged all of their fragrances, and they went from these kind of classic black and orange to a like transparent black bottle. I definitely prefer these old ones. I don't know, I think the new ones just look a bit too generic and forgettable, but I really like these. I'll talk about that a little bit later though, the packaging, because I do quite like the packaging for these. The perfumer from this is Pierre, and he's done quite a lot of work, again, in the indie niche world. He's done quite a lot with Phaedon. He's done most of their fragrances, as well as his own eponymous fragrance label. This is, I think, literally the only thing I've smelled from him, but from what it looks like, he's pretty good with doing some kind of different indie niche perfume, so I would be willing to check out some of his other work for sure. Now, notes for this, the notes I get are really simple. Basically, I get dry, sawdusty woods, and I get some smoke. It's definitely an incense smoke, but it's not like a traditional church incense kind of thing. It's more of a smell you would get from like burning treated floorboards, which is something I've been kind of interested in. Smell-bensed incense, I get a similar thing out of that. These are very different fragrances. That one's very sweet, creamy vanilla. This one's not a hint of sweetness in it. So definitely, without a doubt, I get just basically pure smoke and dry, dusty, sawdusty woods. So what does this make me think of? It doesn't really make me think of a church incense, because that's what most people think when you hear of incense and woods and dry. It doesn't really smell like that. To me, it smells more like, again, someone burning old, dry, dusty wood, and the smell that you would get out of that, basically like, someone takes an old, antique dresser, like old handmade wood dresser. It's old, it's kind of dusty and musty smelling, and then they burn it. So the kind of smoke that you would get coming off of that, very dry and smoky. I think it's really interesting. I quite like it. Very unique, I think. Basically online, this either gets kind of neutral. It's kind of like split. It's funny because like when you look on base notes in Fragrantic, you can look at, the way people rank them. And this is one of the few where it's kind of like love and dislike are the highest ratings. I really think it gets kind of, again, because there are so many fragrances like this in this genre, and I don't mean exactly like this, but in this genre, I should say, I think it gets kind of, jumbled into this big, huge group that is just growing and growing. It's quite a trendy fragrance type, church incense in general. And I definitely would say this stands out. I've tried numerous of the Armani Privé line, and I think this stands out over all of those. I think they have three, at least two, maybe three But this, I think, is beyond that. I think it just does something a little bit different with how dry it is and like the less traditional smoky feeling to it. So yeah, definitely not overly appreciated online. I'm a big fan of it though, personally. Now, in terms of performance, it's not the greatest. I get about 6 hours, not much more than that. For something that is as light as this, like I'm not saying it's like super light, aquatic, you're gonna spray it on and forget about it, but there's no heavy bass notes that kind of keep it stuck on your skin for a long time, which I think is quite often the case with like really pure incense fragrances. Usually they don't have a lot of weight to them, so usually they do end up not lasting long. But 6 hours, I think it's about enough for someone like me as well who likes to reapply a lot. 6 hours I think is sufficient. Projection is about average. I would say the projection is a little bit better than you would expect for like kind of a 6 hour performance, if that makes sense. I think it's pretty ideal for, again, like a broken record, for fall. It's going to be more formal, semi-formal kind of thing. That's just kind of what I think of with fall fragrances. Good for work. It's not too heavy, not too strong, not offensive in any way. In terms of gender, I think this is straight up and down unisex. If you're into incense fragrances or woody fragrances, absolutely without a doubt, this is unisex. Age on this, I'm definitely going to go for more mature, like kind of like 30ish plus, just because, younger people generally going to want something that's a bit sweeter, a bit fruity or whatever. Definitely nothing like that here. Now, I want to mention on the Phaedon website, they mention a few things in this that I absolutely do not get. They say it's got a fruity opening. There is no fruit anywhere close to this. They say it's animalic, which it's definitely not. And they say it's very balsamic. Now, balsamic I can get a little bit more than the other two, but even then it's kind of pushing it, like I'm trying to look for it. To me, it's just like a straight up woody aromatic, incense, dry woods. So yeah, I don't know what's up with the fruity animalic thing. Maybe it's been grossly reformulated for the newer bottles. I don't think it has been, because from what I've heard from the other bottles that were put into the black transparent ones, they're basically the exact same, so I can't imagine it changing that much. But yeah, I think it's quite an interesting fragrance. I think personally, it stands out in the world of like kind of minimalist incense fragrances. In terms of price point, definitely a big plus here. A 100 ml bottle like this goes for $125 US. I got mine used from someone on Facebook, so I paid considerably less than that, but I'm really happy. I think save that for my final thoughts, I suppose. Now, I want to show this because I quite like the old presentation here. I usually don't get too heavily into presentation, but with this, I quite like it. That was actually one of the things that drew me towards Phaedon way back when it first came out, way back 4 years ago. But I really like the packaging, because you really don't see something that looks quite like this, orange packaging, black bottle with an orange label. I quite like it. I think it really stands out, and that's what initially drew me to this house. This wasn't the first thing that really interested me from the house, but it was the first one that looked interesting that I was able to get sent to me when I lived in Indonesia, and I was really happy. I was so happy that I got it after I tried it, just because of all the like neutral and negative reviews of this. Kind of like, yeah, it sounds like something I'd like, but a lot of people I've seen review things before that I tend to agree with not liking it, but I was really impressed with it, and I'm very happy to have it. Definitely do not like the new bottles, the new packaging as much. To me, in the new packaging, it just doesn't stand out anymore. It just looks kind of like any old indie house or any old niche house now, whereas this really stands out. Really, really like it. So positive things for this. I think if you're into incense and you want something for fall and you want something that is a bit different, if you're sick of typical traditional church incense, definitely this is something to look into. The price per mil, $125 for 100 mil. That is a great price for an indie niche house. I think this is pretty high quality personally. I'll save that for my negative comments, I guess. I don't want to get too much into that. And it's definitely, it's not even like their top 3 or 4 selling fragrances. And Phaedon isn't a big house, so you definitely don't have to worry about walking into work and, you know, Frank that sits next to you is wearing Oliban as well. It's just not going to happen. So that's a big plus for me. Negative sides, yeah, I do wish that I got a little bit better performance out of it. Like I said, I don't mind reapplying, but if you've got a smaller collection and you don't want to spend, you know, kind of like $100, more than $1 per mil or $100 a bottle or something, then yeah, you know, I understand people don't want to keep reapplying, you know, 3 or 4 times a day, you know, to kind of keep the fragrance out there. So yeah, that's kind of a negative point. I wish that longevity was a little bit better. If you live outside of North America and Western Europe, it's probably going to be hard to find this. If you can get it, and I know you can get this in other places around the world, but you know, it's not going to be the easiest thing to find if you live in Southeast Asia like I did, or you live in Central America or South America or whatever. So that's definitely a negative side there. I think it's going to get bigger. It's definitely not one of the biggest houses, and it's definitely not one of the kind of houses that's getting really hyped. There's a few fragrances that are kind of popular in the FragCom, but nothing huge. So, you know, maybe they'll grow. Let's see. Overall thoughts, I'm really happy with this, especially with the old classic bottle. I think it's great. And it's a fragrance that really stands out to me in the world, in the oversaturated world of incense, like minimal incense fragrances. I think this is great. And the thing is, if I had seen the newer style bottle, like as in the Oliban bottle for sale, I probably wouldn't even have paid attention to it because I just like the aesthetic of this so much, like the kind of classic Greek packaging, because that's what it's based on. Phaedon is a Greek philosopher. So I probably wouldn't have given it much thought, but I saw it. It was a great price, and the packaging's great. I love it, and I'm really happy that I picked up a bottle. So turn it over to you. What do you think of Oliban, Grisens? Is there a difference in the formula if you've tried the newer transparent black bottle? What do you think of the fragrance house in general? Do you like the older packaging like myself, or do you prefer the newer packaging? So let us know what you think, and I'll have another video for you again soon. So I'll see you later.